What's up, Grayson Report? Happy Thursday. How was your Christmas, guys? While we wait for people to trickle in, what is up, Carol? Carol, thank you for gifting one membership and welcome, Melody Hedrick, to the Wolf Pack. Hearts for Carol and the new Wolf Pack member already off. I wasn't even on. Thank you, Carol. I appreciate that. Hearts for Carol, guys. What's up, Tammy, Matthew, Dusty, Brandon, Curious Potato? How's it going, Curious Potato? I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you in the chat. And I think I caught up. So how was your guys' Christmas? Did Santa bring you what you wanted? Chris, I'm sorry to hear. Chris goes, I had a horrible holiday. Sorry to hear, Chris. What, Chris, if you don't mind me asking, what made it horrible? If you don't mind me asking. If you don't want to say that, that's fine. Sorry to hear, though, Chris. That sucks. Mine was relaxing. I had the day off, so it was nice. Oh, sorry to hear, Chris. That is horrible. Hearts for Chris, guys. I'm sorry to hear. That is the worst thing to go through. That's tough. Logical Spark, what is up? Let's give Chris a virtual hug, guys. Hearts in the chat. Sorry for your loss, Chris. Matthew says his Christmas was good. I only got a movie for a present this year. The big one I won't get until next fall, which will make the wait even better. Chris goes, Gilligan just kept getting sicker. Sorry to hear. That is like the toughest thing to do. It's kind of hard because sometimes I wish animals lived as long as we did. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Chris goes, I need to laugh now. Well, I'm hoping, Chris, that today's topic will keep your mind off of it. You've got us here to as a shoulder to cry on. Dusty goes, all quiet on my home front. Family's dealing with health issues. So while we're waiting for people to trickle in, I do have some movie news. I always like to start off with movie news. If you guys have Netflix, Squid Game Electric Boogaloo is now out. I have not gotten a chance to see it yet. But it's out, the anticipated, because I think when was Squid Games? Like 2 years ago? It seems like forever. It's finally out. I know Nosferatu is out in theaters. Found out that Cobra Kai part 3 season 6, I believe it is. It's set to release on February 13th. If you guys are a Cobra Kai fan, I know that's not spooky, but I like Cobra Kai, so I'm going to mention it. I actually thought the third installment of season 6 was going to be actually further down the road. I was kind of surprised that was in February. I actually thought it would be like in March or April. Curious Potato goes, Electric Boogaloo is a classic. Matthew goes, I saw Dear Santa, Jack Black. I enjoyed it. It's on Paramount Plus. Got it for free by my cable company. Oh, that's super cool. I did see that. I did see that Jack Black was in a. Actually, I kind of thought it was a horror movie, but then Jack Black doesn't really do horror. I mean, he was in an X-File episode, but Rooster, how's it going? I know everyone's been anticipating this because there's a lot of people that are fans of Keanu Reeves' Constantine. I am more of a um what's it? I was gonna say Matt Reeves. It's not Matt Reeves. What's his name? Um the Constantine that was on the CW. Not Matt Reeves. I went blank on his name. Oh my god. Matt Ryan. I was close. I wanted to say Matt Reeves. I'm like, I'm more a fan of the Matt Reeves or Matt Reeves. There I go. Matt Ryan Constantine. I feel like he looked more like the comic book. I've seen bits and pieces of the Keanu Reeves one. I have to revisit it. I just couldn't get myself through it. But there is going to be a Constantine 2. Apparently, the long-awaited Constantine sequel is officially in the works. Because I know there's been a lot of talk about it, and we never knew if it was like going to be a go or not, but it's officially in the works. Reuniting Hollywood's favorite human, Keanu Reeves, with director Francis Lawrence nearly 20 years after the cult classic first hit theaters. Since its 2005 release, Constantine has steadily grown in popularity, earning a devoted fan base that has been clamoring for another chapter in the story of the chain-smoking, demon-battling anti-hero. He is also a DC character, believe it or not. I did not know that. Now, with a script actively in development, Lawrence and Reeves are ready to banish the hell out of demons again. Wait, does that make sense? Lawrence was speaking with comicbook.com recently to celebrate the film's upcoming 4K remaster of the 20th anniversary, and the director admitted the journey to get a sequel off the ground was about as easy as banishing demons back to hell. That's difficult, we're told. The truth is, somewhere around the 15th anniversary or something, we did a Zoom and we all were discussing trying to get it up and going again. And again, we were just more active with it and finally got it past all 3 hurdles. And so we are now actively working on a script. So it's really not that it's just like, oh yeah, now we think the world is ready for it. I certainly think there's a bigger fan base, and certainly it's become a kind of cult classic, which has been really exciting to see and very strange, but it's something we've always loved. We're now in a spot where we're actively working on a script. Constantine 2 will be very R-rated. No, I wouldn't think it would be anything different. One major change fan can expect from the sequel, a full embrace of the R rating. While the original Constantine received an R, it was crafted as a PG-13 film. This time, Lawrence and his team are ready to push boundaries and take full advantage of the creative freedom that an R rating provides. Because if you got an R rating by mistake, why not really go for it next time? I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it was an R-rated movie, but I did not know that they actually had made it more toward PG-13. I'd say more than any of my other movies, Constantine has been something that I felt that was really worthy of a sequel. This is a world that you can really explore, and there's a character that we certainly love and really wanted to explore, Lawrence explains. They need to bring Zatanna in. When the movie first called out, it didn't feel like, oh, wow, the world is embracing our version of Constantine. There was a lot of criticism that we didn't have the blonde English version of him and that Keanu was wrong for it and all those kinds of things. And I think that sort of opinion has really swung around and changed, but we always really loved the world and we always wanted to do a sequel. And so we had been thinking about it. We had also been given an R rating when we kind of made a PG-13 movie and followed all the PG-13 rules. That kind of sucks when you follow the rules and they still end up giving you an R rating. That sucks. So we're like, F it, let's go and do a sequel and really make it an R rated movie. Give us an R, let us make a real R rated movie. Stay tuned. Stay tuned for more information in the future. I'm not sure when it's slated to release or when they do plan on slating it to release, but there is going to be a number 2. Carol goes, I got a new laptop for Christmas. Super cool, Carol. That's awesome. Dusty goes, my oven repair man came today but wouldn't order parts till I paid the bill. So now I have to wait until January for the repair. That sucks, Dusty. But maybe he's been burned. You know what I mean? So I don't blame him if he's been burned in the past. I don't blame him for not wanting to be burned and why he did it that way. I totally understand, but that kind of sucks for you because now you have to wait longer and you just want it fixed. Curious Potatoes, the character was in DC Legend of Tomorrow. He was. I got into him because, well, obviously he had his standalone series that appeared here in the States on NBC, or I don't know, yeah, NBC. Fell in love with it. Didn't know it was a DC character at the time. I just loved him. I thought he was amazing. I guess people had gripes because on the NBC he didn't smoke. He didn't literally have an active cigarette. He had a cigarette in his hand, but he never smoked. You know what I mean? And people would complain about that. Unfortunately, NBC they canned it after a year. I felt like that was way too soon. It had so much it could have offered. Then he came back. I was so excited. He came back to Arrow on the CW. I became a fan of Arrow because he was on there, because I wasn't a big fan of Arrow because I felt like the CW portrayed Arrow as Batman. And I was like, we already have a Batman. We don't need another one. Like, Arrow's story in the CW was like Batman to me. So I kind of I was turned off by that at first, but then I started watching it. He even had Batman villains. So it was like, so when they brought Constantine to Arrow, because I love Constantine, Matt Ryan's Constantine, that's when I became a fan of Arrow. And then he went to DC Legends of Tomorrow. But the problem with DC Legends of Tomorrow, I love the characters. It just was a little bit campy for me. So I stopped watching after a while. It wasn't my favorite out of all of them. So, and also the CW had him because he is a bisexual. They had him hence, and he also smoked. He was like a chain smoker. But I feel like Matt Ryan has the look of the comic book. So I always felt like when I saw the Keanu Reeves one, not to say Keanu Reeves did a bad job, it's just when I saw the Keanu Reeves one, I was like turned off. Which I'm pretty sure a lot of people besides me probably thought the same thing. But I know there's also a lot of people that like the Keanu Reeves one. Dusty goes, yes, but I had to wait a month for him to do the inspection. Oh my gosh, Dusty, that sucks even more. But I mean, I guess if you waited this long, you can wait some more. But at least it'll get fixed. I guess that's the end game, the positive out of it. And I have the comic book. I have his comic book. It's on my wall in my room. I framed it for Constantine. Since we're already coming toward I can't believe we're a week away from the new year already. Like, this month has flown by. This year has flown by, I should say. Before we get into the dragons, Nostradamus's vision for 2025. I always like reading these because I find them kind of I find them fascinating. How we've got, a seer that could see into the future type of thing, and some of his predictions are kind of true. The French seer Nostradamus continues to captivate minds nearly 5 centuries after creating his prophecies, which were written in the form, in the form of enigmatic quatrains. While scholars and analysts may differ in their interpretations of Nostradamus' work, here are some of the intriguing possible outcomes in the new year ahead. Climate and space, his environmental forecasts of Earth shaking and rivers overflowing echo current climate concerns from rising sea levels to extreme weather events. In the realm of space exploration, his reference to new worlds discovered mirror ambitious plans by NASA and private companies to return to the moon and push toward Mars. Geopolitics, Nostradamus foresaw power shifts that are similar to today's changing world order, with established Western nations facing new global competitors. He also warned of vulnerabilities that some interpret as cyber threats to global infrastructure. War, some have interpreted this quatrain through long war, all the army exhausted, so that they do not find money for the soldiers. Instead of gold or silver, they will come to coin leather, Gaelic brass, and crescent sign of the moon, as indicated the possible end of the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Economy, his mysterious reference to coin leather has been interpreted as predicting financial upheaval, perhaps reflecting our modern struggles with inflation and the rise of digital and cryptocurrencies. Medicine, here's the seer's medical predictions are optimistic, suggesting potential for breakthrough treatments that could be connected to today's advances in biotechnology and AI driven healthcare and research. So, what is your take on Nostradamus's predictions? Joanne, what is up? Wendy, how's it going? Curious Potato is say DC Legend was pretty good though. It actually is a clever as but no DC. It started off Legends of Tomorrow, like the last season. I couldn't watch. But it did start off good. I liked the characters. I loved the characters. In fact, like I loved each one of them. But just toward the end, I just kind of fell off. Good to see you, Wendy. I haven't seen you in a while. Because we do have two Wendy's. But Wendy Marino, I have not seen in a while. So good to see you. Wendy is waiting for serverance. I don't know if you guys are like me. I've always liked dragons. I have two tattooed to me. In fact, I do love. I wish. I mean, I don't. I have more of an English dragon, but I think the older I get, I kind of like the Asian looking dragons. I do like the looks of the traditional uh Asian tattoos that have the dragons with the cherry blossoms. One day I'm going to get cherry blossoms. But we always hear about them. We see them in movies, but are they real? Because they are in many stories, myths, and so I found this article and I was like, are they real? Is there a possibility that they're real? I mean, I feel like any little story that I've read, even about Bigfoot or Loch Ness, there's got to be some truth to them, because some type of truth to them, because we wouldn't have a story unless someone saw something. And I know a lot of times in the earlier times, stories were told by mouth and not written down. Joanne has a dragon collection. That's super cool. So, dragons appear in tales from many cultures, but are they real? Various cultures throughout history believe in dragons, likely as a way to explain fossils of dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures. Mythology and folklore about dragons can be found in a wide variety of cultures throughout history, while specific details may vary. Legends about the beast are among the most pervasive stories humans have ever told. They are so pervasive, in fact, that many have wondered, are dragons real? Scientists have generally agreed the answer is resounding no, yet there is still something peculiar about how widespread the mythological creature have been in human culture. Today, we can thank the likes of J.R.R. Tolkien and Dungeons and Dragons for the mass appeal of these fire breathing flying beasts. But historically speaking, did dragons ever exist? And if not, where did the idea originate? Researchers have curiously proposed that belief in the existence of dragons evolved independently in Europe and Asia. However, even that theory does little to actually explain how this belief came about in the first place. The most sensible way to explain the beast would be to look to some actual creatures that could have inspired these myths. However, other scholars have suggested that there could be an even deeper explanation as to why so many different human cultures came to believe in dragons, one that might even be ingrained into the human subconscious. How dragons have been portrayed across the globes. Curious Potatoes goes, finding bones of dinosaurs might be the origin. True. Gunner Girl, what is up? Brandon goes, I was born in the year of the dragon. It is the year of the dragon now. I was born in the year of the snake. 2025 is supposed to be the year of the snake, but I am more specifically, I had to look it up because I was like, oh, what year? I'm always curious to see what year, what the animal for this year is going to be. So I always look it up, and they said wood snake. So I was curious, like, okay, am I a wood snake or like what? All I knew was like, you're the snake, right? So I look it up. I am actually a fire snake. There is more than one snake, believe it or not, which is weird because, which is kind of cool because I did read something years ago that my element was fire. So to see that I am a fire snake is kind of cool. Brandon goes, I am an earth dragon, supposedly. Because I did not, I just know like year of the dragon, year of the ox, year of the snake. But apparently there's different, like there's different years for I guess the fire snake isn't going to be until 2030 something, I think I read, but which is crazy. How dragons have been portrayed across the globe. To understand how dragons have become so pervasive, we should first look at some specific examples of cultures that believe in dragons throughout history. In China and the Britain Isles, for instance, two distinct versions of the mythical beast emerged. European dragons have traditionally been portrayed as predatory creatures. In classic literature, they hoard gold and capture princesses. They burn down villages and are slain by gallant knights. These sort of beasts are still featured prominently in popular media today, from tabletop games to video games, novels, and films. Generally, they are much heftier than their eastern counterparts, mainly depicted as giant winged lizards that can breathe fire. True, like a English. I feel like the dragons portrayed where a knight is saving the princess from the clutches of the dragon. I feel like the dragons are like heftier, like this article says. The dragons that appeared in medieval folklore of the British Isles are greedy and vile. They live in caves and feast on livestock, humans, and even goblins or fairies in some myths. Asian dragons, particularly Chinese dragons, are almost the exact opposite of their European counterparts. They are slimmer. They almost look, the Chinese dragons, they almost look, and I'm kind of, the older I get, I like the look of them. They kind of look like a snake with wings almost, but a snake with like a pointy nose. They are slimmer, and though they can fly, they are generally portrayed without wings. In contrast to the beast from medieval European folklore, their Asian counterparts are typically more benevolent and help people by bringing rain or good fortune. They are said to live in places with permanent water sources such as rivers, rainforests, and swamps. Even today, this contrast is evident. European dragons are still portrayed as greedy, evil creatures, such as in Tolkien's The Hobbit. Asian dragons, meanwhile, are celebrated in festivals across the continent, and they even appear as part of the 12-year cycle of the Chinese zodiac. It's clear that aside from sharing a name and a few lizard like qualities, the European and Asian dragons couldn't be more difficult. This distinction is what has led scholars to conclude that belief in the existence of dragons developed independently in these regions. Yet, the similarities can't be ignored. Why would so many people why did they do that? They put like the advertisement just went book. Why would so many people from such a wide variety of backgrounds have stories about giant flying lizards like creatures? Surely there must be some sort of scientific explanation to this. Indeed, there are quite a few. Wendigo Skyrim gamer hubby #1 fan. Chris Barber goes, I'm okay with snake. It's better than the rabbit. Dusty is also a dragon. Theories about the origins of the mythical beast. The most. See, this is how, I mean, I guess this is kind of how the dragon is depicted in the movies. Um, that most of the movies that I've seen are usually depicted like this, and I've always thought they were cool. Whenever I saw them, I don't know. There's nothing not to like about a dragon. They're super cool. The most obvious theory about why people believe in dragons is also the most straightforward: dinosaurs, like Curious Potato had mentioned. As BBC's Science Focus magazine reports, people across Europe and Asia have historically mistaken dinosaur fossils for dragons. Even without this context, pictures alone could tell us this. The massive scaled beasts look a whole lot like many dinosaurs, very true, albeit with some fantastical embellishments. And though we most often associate dragons in the European context, at least with the Middle Ages, this was hardly the first time a dragon like creature was mentioned in literature. The Bible, for instance, tells of a massive sea creature known as Leviathan. Greek mythology featured a number of odd beasts, such as Hydra, even legends like that of the Kraken. I don't know why I pronounced that wrong. Lisa. Though it does not look like a dragon, show how humans have always created massive, horrifying creatures that resemble the more mundane animals on Earth. Smithsonian Magazine offers up a few other ancient creatures that could fit the bill, including Nile crocodiles, goannas, and whales. Any giant animal could have been used as evidence for the existence of dragons, particularly during a time when belief in magic was much more common than it is today. The magazine also cites anthropologist David E. Jones' An Instinct for Dragons, in which he hypothesizes that humans have a built-in fear of predators that include snakes, birds of prey, and elephants. Therefore, it is entirely possible that by some subconscious effort, humans combine these animals into one mythical apex predator. Whitney goes, I think of Leviathan as a sandworm. Joanne goes, correction, whatever the element of the year you are born in, that element returns again in your 60-year cycle. Brandon goes, Leviathan has been written about for years. There has a trilogy I read with that title. Joanne goes, Leviathan, great coaster at Canada's Wonderland. Also, too, there was a dog that we had at the adoption center. He got adopted. His name was Leviathan. So whenever I see Leviathan, I think of him. This could also explain why many stories involved courageous humans, most often knights, conquering the beasts as if to allegorically show how humanity can overcome its fear. And also too, it's kind of like a valiant um effort. I feel like when you see a knight, you think of the chivalry and the valiant, the I don't know, the honor, and well, that's what I get when I see a knight. And having him defeat this beast and come home to save the land, it was always like, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like it's not to overcome fear, but I feel like it's to show that you've got this person that can overcome anything, and that is brave and is willing to fight and save people. Why then would the mythical creature serve a different role in the legend of Asian countries? A report from Time in early 2024 explains this in part, though historians and archaeologists still debate where the Chinese dragon first originated. Why are dragons so important in Chinese culture? So in Chinese culture, I'm sure you've seen them. They do they have such they dress up like dragons too and do a dance. Um One of the earliest examples of Chinese dragons can be traced back more than 5,000 years. In 1987, archaeologists discovered a 6.5 foot long dragon mosaic made of clamshells in a tomb in Puyang, China. The depiction dates back to the Neolithic Yangshao culture, which existed from around 5000 BCE to 3000 BCE. There are four credible theories that can explain where the Chinese dragon, or Lung, originated. The first theory posts that it came about due to the worship of a snake-like deity. The second suggests it could have had something to do with the Chinese alligator. The third implies some connection to rain, and the last said it came about as a byproduct of nature worship. The Chinese dragon has also long been associated with power, with many legends suggesting Long fathered China's various emperors. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it's spelled Loong. Hold on, guys. Still, this doesn't quite nail down how the belief in the creatures became so prominent. Most likely, it was some combination of all of the above, serving as a symbol of strength and combined with folk beliefs and nature worship. The image of the dragon exhibited great staying power and demanded reverence. To this day, the symbol of the red dragon found on the zodiac is seen as one of prosperity. In Chinese culture, people believe they're descendants of the dragon. Bao Ho, a Hong Kong based artist, told Reader's Digest in 2024. From a long time ago, people prayed to dragons to get blessings and protection. Ho added that the beasts were once seen as fantasy creatures with magical powers that ultimately turned and became symbolic and a part of the Chinese culture. Of course, there is a difference between adopting the creature as a symbol and actually believing in the existence of dragons. Moreover, the specific example doesn't get to the beating heart of why the mythological beasts are so pervasive across different cultures. But perhaps there is something else that could explain this, at least according to David Jones' Instinct of Dragons. I don't get it. YouTube is taking all the money for the commercials. Trust me. I don't get anything from the ads. Dusty Lingo's Chinese culture is very prominent in Hawaii. Dragon parades often around the Chinese New Year's. Fun fact, you're supposed to feed the dragon a $1 bill. Ooh. Joanne goes check out the Singapore drone show of 2024. The psychological explanation for monstrous creatures. Most people at some point in this history have believed that the dragon was real. Jones asserts early on in his book, prior to the 16th century, thousands of eyewitness accounts of dragon sightings were recorded. He then lists 24 separate towns where sightings were reported between the 11th and 13th century, showing just how widespread the belief in the existence of dragons really was. Jones also tackles the issue of dinosaurs head on, writing, Let us begin by removing one of the most obvious parallels, the dinosaurs. They cannot model for the dragon because dinosaurs had become extinct many millions of years before the evolution of humans. And as for the theory that humans mistook fossils for the mythological creatures he poses the question, how can one recognize something as a dragon unless one already knows what a dragon is? Even prehistoric encounters with dreadful creatures such as pythons or mammoths can't explain why the beast have persisted in stories across the world. Given how isolated certain animals always were, yet stories about dragons could be found in ancient Greece and Rome. In the tale of the Scandinavian people and the Vikings, and in the mythology of Japan, China, and other Asian countries, even some Native Americans communities told tales about reptilian monsters. Ultimately, Jones suggests that the widespread belief in the existence of dragons could be attributed to human evolution. Monkeys have been shown to have an innate fear of snakes and large jungle cats, and given how similar monkeys and humans are genetically, it is therefore sensible to assume that humans too have some innate fear of large predators. I think we all do. I mean, I think when I go in the ocean, it doesn't cross my mind that there could be a shark in there. So I think we all, I mean, we all have that fear. Some have more fears than others. Um, or like, I mean, I think I would make a friend if I saw a tiger. I would be trying to make friends with it. But that's me though. But I feel like with a shark though, something about a shark. Um, or like a gorilla maybe, because I feel like gorillas, they are similar to us, but I feel like they're still wild, you know what I mean? So if you're stuck in a cage with one of them and they flip, oh, these built-in fears then could have inadvertently inspired tales about dragons. However, it is important to note that not everyone shares Jones's view. Many scholars do believe that people could very well have conce- very well conceived of dragons and other mythical creatures based on bones they found in the dirt. Perhaps a dinosaur skull instilled such terror in its finder that they guessed at what it might have been and invented the most horrifying creatures they can conjure, a giant beast covered in scales that flew and breathed fire. I feel like that's more plausible because we did have dinosaurs that walked the earth, and dragons kind of resemble dinosaurs. So it could have been someone's wild imagination that created this dragon. No matter how you look at it, there are dozens of ways humans could have come up with the idea of dragons, though it's difficult to pinpoint exactly why, when, why, or how this came to be. Like many elements in ancient cultures, these details have become lost to time, and the only thing we can say for certain now is that there have never been a there has never been a dragon on this earth. That said, there are still quite a few creatures in the modern day that do resemble the fire breathing beast of the legends. Gunner Girl goes, I saw a celebration of Chinese New Year when I was getting my nails done. It was awesome. They had dragon costumes and did dances. Very beautiful. It is. It's awesome how there's things that we don't celebrate, but then other cultures do. And I've always been fascinated by that. And I love hearing about other cultures' traditions because there's things that we, like I said, we don't celebrate a lot of things like other cultures do. Tickle Tits, what's up? Like, I used to have a coworker that was from India, and she was always telling me stuff like with her culture, and I always found it fascinating. I was like, dang, I wish we had something like that. It's super cool. Are dragons real? Animals that may have inspired legends of the beast. The first and most glaring example of the real life dragon would be the aptly named Komodo dragon, a large monitor lizard endemic to a few small Indonesian islands. Even today, it is the largest species of lizard, which some individuals growing to a staggering 10 feet in length. Whoa, that is a large lizard. Since Komodo dragons were first observed by Western scientists in 1910, it has been difficult to ignore the similarities they share with a beast of lore. So here's the Komodo dragon. They are huge. Komodo dragons are dangerously fast and powerful. They are the apex predator of their ecosystem, and unlike most other reptiles, they hunt in groups to take down large deer and other prey. If any creature on Earth should carry the word dragon in its name, the Komodo dragon is more deserving than any other. Likewise, crocodiles are fitting candidates for creatures that may have inspired dragons, though we don't refer to them as dragons. There's no doubt that these large, scaly predators share much in common with their mythical cousins. Some scholars have suggested that whales may have inspired tales about the massive mythical creatures, though not directly. Rather, it was their large bones that washed ashore or were found on land that was previously beneath the ocean that caused ancient humans to imagine nightmarish horrors that could grow to a comparable size. Because I was going to say, whales aren't scaly, they have smooth skin, but they are huge. Other animals that could have potentially instilled this fear are various birds of prey for obvious reasons. These deadly predators dominated the air, which was, until very recently, out of mankind's reach. So, are dragons real? In the end, it is safe to say that they have never existed, and it is highly unlikely that evolution will ever conjure up such beasts. Regardless, tales about dragons have captivated the human mind for millennia, and if current trends are anything to go by, they will continue to fascinate humans for generations to come. So guys, what do you think of that? Like what is your take of where dragons came from? I'm going to go with what Curious Potato had said earlier, that it's from um the idea sparked from dinosaurs. I feel like Delay Alex, what is up? Tickle Tits is asking, don't they have venomous bites? The Komodo dragon? Let's see. Yes, Komodo dragons do. That can be fatal to humans. Yes, Tinkle Tits, they do. But what do you guys think of where dragons came from? Like the idea. And also, I know too, like way back in the day when they saw a creature, sometimes they didn't know what the creature was. So how they described creatures, it could have been like an animal that we know. It could have been like an animal that we knew. We know now what it is, but back then they didn't know what it was. Wendy goes, the Nords, like the holy crap. Sorry, guys. Tickle Tits goes, people used to die from diarrhea back in the day. Wendy goes, Loch Ness. True. I mean, people died from simple things that we don't die from today because of the lack of medical advancements that we have now. Oh yeah, yesterday I forgot. Yesterday was if you guys are a fan of the Twilight Zone, yesterday was Rod Sterling's birthday. I had forgot I was going to mention that. Or Serling. Serling, my bad. I always Sterling. I always want to say Sterling. Serling. I think it would have been his 100th birthday cuz he passed away in 1975 at 50. And I thought that was kind of cool. Curious Potato goes, there's a lot of big bones our ancestors found, thought dragons. True. Dusty Ghost Sharks are my ex's Amakua. Stories of a baby being swept out to sea and a shark returning it to shore safely. I miss the one thing I miss because I used to always watch going back into the Twilight Zone. I always used to I miss the marathons. Because I don't have cable television anymore. And I remember like on certain you would get the Twilight Zone marathons like for like New Year's. And I remember watching the Twilight Zone marathons and I miss those. That is young. I think it's because he smoked like most Americans did back then. Not just Americans. I'm pretty sure a lot of people smoked back then because there wasn't the connotation like there is now about smoking where it could cause cancer. Back then, smoking was the thing to do. I remember you could smoke inside a restaurant. They had like the non-smoking and the smoking section, and they had the cigarette vending machines. I remember all that way back in the day. But then people were dying of lung cancer. So then that I don't know what he died of. I mean, he was a smoker. Oh, he had a heart attack. Curious Potato, exactly. Rod always had a cigarette. He did. Always had a cigarette. I mean, it was the thing to do back then. I mean, now you've got vaping, so I see more people vaping than I do smoking. So it's kind of weird when I see somebody smoking. I'm like, oh, people still smoke. Wendy is I'm transitioning to vape. I knew I worked with somebody at my old job and that's what he was doing. He used to smoke and he transitioned to vape and then he was trying to quit the vaping altogether, like to stop it altogether. But even that they're saying vaping is bad, but I'm like so I saw this article and I thought it was kind of cool. 50s horror icon Vincent Price pranked wife with Christmas gift she hated every year. Vincent Price's favorite holiday was Christmas, and the horror icon couldn't resist pulling a prank on his wife each December, according to his daughter. Victoria Price told Fox News Digital that her father, the star of classic horror movies like House on Haunted Hill and Edward Scissorhands, had a weakness for large jewelry that he loved buying his wives. And after going to Poland in 1974, he gifted her stepmother a chunky bone butterfly necklace. My stepmother hated it, Price said. That wasn't her cup of tea, and unlike us, she just said it. I will never wear this. I hate it. She said that her stepmother also likely wasn't endeared by the fact that he also gave a necklace to her mom, Mary Grant Price. She continued, my dad loved Christmas. He was like Father Christmas. Christmas was his favorite holiday. They were married for 18 years. Every year for the next 18 years, her stepmother would get in her thing for Christmas packages, some beautiful Tiffany box or something. And there it was every damn year, the bone necklace. So that was my dad's humor. She said her dad was a habitual prankster, once leaving a disgusting corded denture under her pillow when she expected a nickel from the tooth fairy. And jumping out and surprising candy givers when he took her trick-or-treating. Price said her family celebrated a very traditional Christmas that involved opening stockings with their family, sweet rolls and eggnog, lunch, and exchanging presents all day long with their extended family, and finally a big New Year's Eve party with a band and dancing. The Christmas tree was always a big deal, she said. We lived in a very large house. It had very high ceilings, so her mother had to buy Christmas trees where the department stores bought theirs. She said their whole house was decorated, and her mother turned their tree into a work of art. And she even got her little own Charlie Brown tree that she could decorate. That's super cool. All the artwork had bows on it, and different figures had, ornaments on them, and it was a very joyful time, she said. Price said they also traveled together for a lot of Christmases as a child, including places like London and Boston. She got one of her favorite gifts, a portable typewriter, while they were spending Christmas in England one year, but her favorite gift was one she got from her dad every Christmas, a $10 gift certificate to a bookstore in Beverly Hills where she was able to buy a stack of books. $10 barely gets you anything now. My dad and I would go to Hunter's Books after I got my certificate, and he would amuse himself for as long as it took. There was no time limit, she remembered. That is so cool. He would look at the art books, have a lovely time, and I would just spend so much time trying to figure out the perfect 10 books I wanted with my $10 worth. And then I would go home, lock myself in the room, and be done with them. I don't know, like 24 hours later, and then my dad would always be sort of pretend angry. I can't believe I just spent $10 and you run through it like that, And I knew he loved how much I loved to read. That is so sweet. That is an awesome story. Curious Potato goes, ZZ Top did a song dedicated to him. Gunner Girl, I agree. And that's probably my favorite part in Thriller is his part. He was perfect in MJ's Thriller song. Absolutely perfect. Voice was unique. Curious Potato, I agree. He was a legend. And just to read that story, it's amazing that he was an amazing person too. Not only was he a legend, he was also an amazing father. And give me a second, guys. Chris goes, I remember crying when he passed. Wendy, I totally agree. Iconic voice and presence. I remembered when I was young. When did he pass? I was young. Because I do remember when he passed. I do remember when he passed, and I was like, Joanne goes, he did some narrations on an Alice Cooper song. He just had that voice. It was like creepy. Like creepy. Like creepy. I don't know how else to explain it. 93, Chris Barber. Daniel, what is up? Vincent Price movie, The Prisoner. I am not a number. I'm a free man. Also used in Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast song. Super cool, Daniel. What is up, Daniel? Curious Potato goes, he was originally a classic actor before he was associated with horror. I think most of us know him from horror. Chris goes, I grew up watching all of his movies. It's super cool that he pranked his wife with an ugly necklace, though. That is so cool. I'm sorry. That's cool. That's genius. All right, guys, I am going to open it up for questions. If you guys have any questions, I forgot to mention, as always, Skeleduck is somewhere in this background. It is not the one that's right here where my finger's pointing. He's somewhere in this background. If you guys don't know who Skeleduck is, he is pictured in my upper right hand corner. Might be your upper left, or my upper left hand corner might be your upper right hand corner. I will give you a few minutes to look for him. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the stream. Usually I do that at the beginning, but there you go. I'll give you a few minutes to look for him. Have any of you guys watched anything interesting on TV recently, or a movie? I'm kind of behind still. Wendy goes juror number 2. I think the last thing I finally got to see Alien Romulus. I think that was the last thing I saw. I enjoyed it. It was pretty good. I enjoyed every bit of it. I don't want to give it away too much, but there's a part where I was impressed with in it. I don't want to give away anything though, Wendy, for anyone that hasn't watched it. I've seen Beetlejuice. I've seen Joker Part 2. Filet à deux. I'm trying to think of what else. There hasn't been any like documentaries. There's an Avicii documentary. If you guys are into EDM, Avicii was like I just noticed on, I think it was Netflix, that there's going to be an Avicii documentary, so I'm looking forward to that. I like documentaries, or biopic, or whatever the heck they call those. Joanne goes, no horror. Tulsa King is entertaining. Started watching American Werewolf in London. I didn't finish it because when I was about to go watch it to finish it, I saw that Bram Stoker's Dracula was on, and I was like, holy crap, I have to watch that because that's one of my favorite movies. So I ended up watching that. Curious Potato goes, "Is Beetlejuice too good?" I mean, it was okay. I mean, it's Beetlejuice. If you're a fan of Beetlejuice, you'll like it. I'm not like a huge fan of Beetlejuice, and I thought it was okay. I mean, it was cool seeing Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice. It was cool seeing Winona Ryder, the mother. I forgot her name in there, but it was cool to see all those them returning. Jenna Ortega did an amazing job, but it reminded me of Wednesday a little too much. It kind of reminded me, she wasn't acting like um Wednesday, but it just reminded me, like, I don't know, it just kind of reminded me of it. Wendy goes, the OG Dracula. No, Bram Stoker's Dracula with Gary Oldman playing Dracula. That had Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder in it. Yeah, Curious Potato was okay. It wasn't like, "Oh my god," type of movie. It was okay. Not bad, not great, but okay, like in the middle. And then I'm trying to think, there's other movies, like there's Smile 2 is out. There's some I think it's on Paramount. I haven't That's on my list. I couldn't make it through the first one, so I don't know why I'm eager to see the second one. But I've heard that the second one, there's people that like the second one that didn't like the first one. Curious Potato, so it was okay, like Ghostbusters 2, kind of. Yes, Bram Stoker's Dracula with it's the poster I have behind me that you can barely see. But I love that Dracula movie. That's probably one of my favorites. So I just rewatched it from the 90s. I like Ghostbusters regardless. Like, I never thought Ghostbusters was bad. Like, I enjoy Ghostbusters more than I enjoyed Beetlejuice. I'm more a fan of Ghostbusters, put it that way, than I was of Beetlejuice growing up. And I'm trying to think, there's other movies out there that are on my list and I can't figure out what. Wendy watched Krampus today. What did you think of it, Wendy? I liked Krampus. Daniel Moz goes, uncomparable them to movies. Beetlejuice is more like Clockwork Orange. Gunner Girl goes, Lisa, did you see the latest No, I have not. That is on my list. I have not seen the newest Ghostbusters. I know. I'm ashamed of myself. But no, I haven't seen it. Curious Potato watched Ghostbusters Afterlife today. I liked it. I think that's the one I haven't seen. I think that's the latest one, right? Curious Potato? I saw the one before that, but I haven't seen the latest. There's also Black Christmas, guys, if you haven't seen that one. I think it came out, what, in 1974 or somewhere around there? So pretty cool if you're looking for a horror Christmas film. It's a pretty cool slasher. Matthew goes, Frozen Empire. That the one? Yes, that's the one I haven't seen. Afterlife, I think I've seen. Dusty goes, one year we had 5 Christmas trees in our house growing up, a fake one in the entry with a rotating colored lights, a medley of 3 nobles in our family room, and a kid's tree in the rec room. That is actually kind of cool. I think I stopped getting Christmas tree. I don't know. I'm just not a Christmas tree person. So I never get a Christmas tree or put a tree up. And then since the passing of my dad 4 years ago, Christmases haven't been the same. Yeah, curious, but it is Frozen Empire. That's probably the one I didn't see. Afterlife I saw. It's the one before Frozen. But I do like the smell of Christmas trees. Like the live ones. Like having a fake one doesn't do you justice. I like the though I know some people do fake ones, nothing wrong with that. But I do like the smell of Christmas trees. And I even thought about getting like the evergreen scent just to get that, but I haven't. All right, guys, real quick. I think I gave you enough time to find a Skeleduck. Skeleduck, dun dun dun, is right there. His tail is sticking up. It's right where my finger. He's right next to Gizmo. It's right where my finger is. So if I move my mic arm, you'll see him. So he's right there, right where my finger is. It's my right hand side. It's probably your left hand side because I think it's flipped. But right there, like I had him. I had just the tip of his tail showing. So right there. Daniel goes, my girlfriend has gotten into bonsai, so she has a bunch of little trees. That's kind of cool. Matthew goes, got a cheap Christmas tree from Family Dollar under $24. Depends on if we feel like getting a real one that specific years. Heather, whatever. What is up? All right, guys. Any last minute questions? I'm going to end the stream a bit early. Usually I go a little bit longer, but I do have to work in the morning. I'm doing an opening shift tomorrow. Unfortunately, I got to get up that early, but still, I'm not a morning person. So if you guys have any last minute questions, before in the stream, if not, I will catch you guys on New Year's Eve. I can't believe we're already there. Next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be there, be squared, stay spooky, guys. Have the great rest of your week, and I will see you on the next one. Good night, guys, and thank you.